Chickett is a bad joker for gameplay reasons. Chickett is making the exact face I make when I get him. The nope of legendary jokers. Oh, mega spectral pack with legendary joker. Oh, it's Chickett. Yeah, he absolutely sucks, honestly. Chickett, the worst legendary joker in card games. Is Chickett the best joker in Balatro? I know it's not everyone's favorite, but I know some other members of the community and I really love the Chickett. How do you pronounce Chickett?
Chico. It's a French word meaning
Chico?
and it comes from the early.
I have lost to many boss blinds, so this joker has been my favorite as of late. There is no way anyone who has played Balatro for more than a handful of hours is going to have this as an actual opinion. Well, I have had enough of these people. Today, I'm proving that Chico is the best joker in Balatro if you exploit an extremely specific bug. You may believe that Chico's ability is to disable all boss blinds. Wrong. Because of the way it's programmed, Chico reverses the effects of boss blinds rather than outright disabling them. Or at least that's sometimes how it works. Let's say you enter the boss blind.
Start with 0 discards.
When the boss starts, Chico will not prevent you from losing your discards. Instead, he gives them back to you after you already lost them. Now, why is this important? Because if you have multiple Chicos, they will each give you your discards back, fixing the problem several times over until why do people hate this guy again? Now, believe it or not, this is not where the bug comes in. In fact, everything I just described seems to be intentional, as you do not keep your extra discards after leaving the blind. The bug comes in when you use this strategy on the Manacle, a boss that normally reduces your hand size by 1, unless you have Chico who gives it back to you. Once again, several Chicos can be used to drastically increase your hand size, except this time, the game does not check to see if your hand size is bigger than it should be, meaning you get a permanent extra hand size for every extra Chico you have. If you keep re-rolling for the Manacle every ante, you will eventually be able to hold your entire deck in your hand. Pretty much everyone I've seen use this bug does so with Baron Mime, as that's obviously the best way to utilize a big hand size. Or is it? Well, yeah, it is, but like, hear me out. What if you use the Ghost deck to make spectral cards appear in the shop? One of them being Ectoplasm, which lets you trade a hand size for an extra Joker slot. If you can farm negative Jokers, how far can you get without using Baron Mime or Perkeo? To find out, I had to use the second best late game strategy, the Idol. A Joker that absolutely sucks in the normal game. Now don't get me wrong, Balatro is a game where no Joker is good all the time. Even something like the Baron is kind of trash in most situations. If you don't have a lot of kings, there's a very real chance you won't draw any, and then lose. Plus, he's not exactly an early game Joker. 1.5 times Molt is basically just +2 Molt at the start of the game. What I'm trying to say is that yeah, okay, a lot of Jokers in Balatro are situational, but the Idol is extra bad. The gimmick is that the Idol will select a random card from your deck, and if you play that card, it gives you 2 times Molt. This is pretty powerful if your entire deck is the same card, because then the Idol can only select Queen of Spades, and you can play Flush 5 for a bunch of 3 times 2s. Only problem is, if even one of your cards isn't a Queen of Spades, there's a chance the Idol will select that card and then your entire run is bricked. Now, needless to say, you're not going to make your entire deck exclusively comprised of the same card in just 8 antes, which is why the Idol is mostly used for late game purposes where it really shines. Until it doesn't, because while the Idol is the furthest you'll get in Balatro without using Baron Mime, you can't nan-inf using the Idol. Even under the best circumstances, it's just not possible to get the highest score. Unless you use Perkeo, but like, we're banning this guy, he's too broken. You can nan-inf with stencil Jokers using Perkeo. I wanted to see if using Chico to make a bunch of negative Jokers can make the Idol compete with Baron Mime. And the hardest part of this experiment would be reaching the small blind of ante 1. So, problem, we're trying to build a run around a legendary Joker. something that can only spawn from a soul card that has a 0.3 chance of appearing in any spectral or tarot pack. So, like, how do you even begin this run without being just absurdly lucky? Well, this is a very simple solution. Just install the Brainstorm mod, which has an option to only give you seeds in which the first Arcana skip contains a legendary joker. Easy enough, right? Well, that leads us to problem number 2, which is I'm lazy. I can't be bothered to work around the idol's crippling downside when there's this legendary called the Tribule, who does the exact same thing as the idol but doesn't require me to change my entire personality to hang out with him. It's also useful because Tribule can literally solo the first 10 antis of the game, allowing me to fill the rest of my joker slots with Shikos to farm as much hand size as physically possible. But how do you find a seed that specifically has Shiko and Tribule right at the start? That sounds basically impossible. I initially tried looking up Shiko and Tribule seed, but it turns out people don't post seeds with Shiko in them, so that was a dead end. Which led me to the darkest, spookiest, scariest corners of the web, where I found the Immolate tool. It is so scary that you need to become a bootleg Linux user to understand how to use this thing. Immolate is a Balatro seed analyzing tool in which you input what you're looking for and Immolate finds seeds which match your criteria. I asked my friend to program this tin you see here, which asks the program to find seeds that contain both Tribulate and Shiko within the first 2 antis. I thought I would only get a handful of seeds back due to how specific those conditions were, but instead... Oh, what's this? Oh, I found 7, 10, 15? Oh, I guess there's just an infinite number of these seeds. Why? How is it finding this many? You can select any seed from here, any random seed, right now. Put it into Balatro, and there will be both Shiko and Tribulate at the start in the first 2 antis. The seed I decided to use looked like it said 6th of September, because it had 2 convenient invisible jokers in anti 2, allowing me to clone Shiko immediately. After looking through the seed a bit, I found that this was the best way to accomplish that. Firstly, immediately sell the hex card you start with for $2 so you can make $1 of interest at the end of the round. Then open this joker pack and take Swashbuckler, which at first seems a bit odd given that I don't have any jokers until I open the Tarot pack and get Shiko, whose $10 sell value gives the Swashbuckler 10 mult, making the early round so easy a 2-year-old could beat them. There was also a Temperance here which gave me another free $12. The Big Blind shop contained another pack with another Temperance, which not only means that buying the Swashbuckler made me a profit of $2, but also lets me buy Overstock. Probably one of the best vouchers out there because it lets you see more jokers when you reroll, but for this specific run it is absolutely necessary to buy the invisible jokers. At the start of Anti 2 I get Tribulate, Chaos the Clown and my first invisible joker, which gives me, you know, $32. Now by this point you might be thinking, wow, this has to be the run, like this is, you're broken OP already. How does someone possibly lose with this good of a start? Because I'm broke. Retcon appears on Anti 8, allowing you to reroll indefinitely. But to reroll every Anti looking for the Manacle costs you usually in the range of $300. And I kid you not, this seed is a desert. There's no good way to make money anywhere. It has one of the most specific starts ever at the cost of being broke the whole time. The best money source turned out to be Temperance. I had so many legendary jokers that Temperance would give its maximum $50 every time, which with the Fool had the potential to give me a decent bit of money. Here's a tip with the Fool. If you find it in the shop, do not use it immediately. Hold on to the Fool until you find something you do want to use, like Temperance, and then suddenly you have 2 Temperances. You can even hold on to Temperance in case you find another Fool, so then you can do the same thing again. Anyway, to fast forward a bit, I did end up solving my money troubles on Anti 15 using a negative skip tag to give me a negative golden ticket. You know, never have to worry about money again using a joker that does not take up space. I was so powerful that I was regularly gaining 3 extra hands every Anti. Also, Showman was here. He's also important. But there was a new problem. A big oversight with this whole strategy that pretty much undermines this entire video. And to understand what that is, we need to look at what ectoplasm actually does. Although ectoplasm says add negative to a random joker at the cost of 1 hand size, what it does not mention is how the hand size cost goes up by 1 each time you use it. So you use it once, the cost becomes 2, you use it twice, the cost becomes 3. In a normal game, this means you can't reasonably make more than 3 negatives without killing yourself from 0 hand size. In this run, it means that while the initial ectoplasms might cost pennies, by the time it requires 11 hand size, I just sort of die because I can't afford that. Even worse, when I opened Balatro calculator to see how much negative jokers were required to naninf, I discovered that you need 19. Now, let me show you something. Let's say you wanted 6 negative jokers with the Shiko strategy. Okay, that'll cost you a reasonable 21 hand size, which sounds like a lot, but when you're making 4 hand sizes every round, it really isn't. If you wanted another 6 negatives, that 21 quickly jumps to a 78 because of triangular numbers. If you want 19 negative jokers like I need right now, you would need to amass a hand size of 190 to pay for it. Which is so high, I'm not even sure it's possible to get that much even with the Shiko bug. Failing to score even 100 E's reminded me just how absurdly high the score requirement to crash the game is. There's supposed to be E80 atoms in the universe, and you're asking me to add about 200 more zeros to that. So in the end, I abandoned this run. 2 months ago. That was 2 months ago. The only reason you're seeing this video is because I was trapped in hell for a little bit, and then I saw this post from Balatro's developer LocalThunk, in which he proudly proclaims that he 100%ed Balatro, beating every deck on Gold Stake as well as beating Gold Stake with every single joker. Afterwards, he writes, "I think it's also equipped me to better design the 1.1 update." Update? Well, this bug is definitely getting fixed in the next update. Shiko is going to get locked up! And so, motivated entirely out of fear of missing out on a bug that wouldn't exist soon, I decided to look for more seeds with Immolate. But this time, they were more specific, adding on that the seed must contain Retcon before Anti-6 and that one of the first 6 jokers in the shop must be an invisible joker. After running Immolate for a few hours, eager to see the seeds that it found, I got nothing. Literally nothing happened. At first I thought maybe I was asking too much, like maybe this was too specific to actually exist. But then a few hours later... Oh, thanks, Clippy. Although this victory was short-lived as I realized that somehow, despite Immolate giving me exactly what I asked for, it still found a way to disappoint me. It technically found one invisible joker just like I asked, but that was it. That was the only invisible joker in the entire seed. And every seed was exactly like that, just one invisible joker and nothing else. So clearly, I just needed to be more specific. Instead of one invisible joker in the first 6 shops, I asked for 4 invisible jokers in the first 8 antis. There you go. That should work. Clearly, I didn't learn my lesson from last time, because while technically Immolate found what I wanted, again, all of the invisible jokers were in Anti-8. All of them. I actually can't tell if I'm the stupid one or if I should be glad my computer can't vote. The seed that ended up working was the one I originally used, 6th of September. Turns out the reason I died was not because the strategy sucked or because the seed was bad, it was because I was using it wrong. Look at my jokers right now and see if you can tell me what's wrong with this setup. Come on, go on. I bet you can't guess. I bet you can't guess. The answer is, why are my Chicos negative? No, really. Why are the jokers who can't even score points eating up my ectoplasms? What is the point? This is some kind of Sisyphus situation. You don't need a life vest, Shiko. No wonder I'm dying. I'm not getting any extra jokers because the Shiko keeps eating the ectoplasm. If you don't use ectoplasms on Shiko, your negative scoring jokers can get all the way up to anti-32, no problem. Going even further if you start selling Shikos to use them as extra space. On my first attempt with this newfound strategy, I made it all the way up to anti-36, what? That's so cool. That's like 2 antis away from winning. The way I did it was by exploiting a secret mechanic with ectoplasm. Normally, ectoplasm targets a random joker and makes it negative. However, you can prevent it from targeting a joker if that joker already has an addition, which is anything the Wheel of Fortune gives you. Or the hex card you start with in Ghost Egg, make that Shiko polychrome, and suddenly any Shiko that gets cloned can't be ectoplasmed. Now, I know this is like the most oddly specific way you could play this game, constantly reloading a Balatro save until you perfectly play through a seed, but like, this was fun. I have so many jokers right now, and somehow not all of them are useless. At one point in the run, it was legitimately annoying to open tarot packs because my hand size was so big it took forever for them to load. When I first got gifted Balatro, I saw that Zaptrap had 300 hours on this game, and I wondered how someone could possibly play this solitaire clone for that long. And then I became him, and I still don't understand. I could bore you with all the fine details of the run, but it's pretty much the same as my last video. Create convenient negatives with the skip tags, reroll for naturally negative idols, reroll for a naturally negative blueprint using $40,000. The most interesting thing you have to do with this seed is collect 27 colas to make 27 double tags. A number so big you can't actually see them all because they stack off the screen. I do this so I can take the negative skip tag at the end of Anti 25, make a ton of negative tags, skip past everything on Anti 26 because I don't care about it, and then specifically on Anti 37 get an instant negative photograph followed by a negative sock and buskin. This is a set of inputs so specific no real person would ever do them, and it is the epitome of a seeded run. But anyway, here is my final hand, the one that ended up scoring Nanin. And while that gets calculated, I wanted to talk about the Shiko bug some more, because this bug is fun. It's not the type of glitch that soft locks the game or makes everything too easy. The Shiko hand size exploit legitimately adds a new way to play Balatro. It makes more late game strategies viable due to the presence of extra joker slots. And due to the way the bug works, it's not something you're going to encounter very often. It only lets you do what I did here if you have the perfect seed. Like, I spent so long looking for this, and at one point I even thought it was impossible. If you can't clone Shiko early on, you probably won't get much more hand sizes. And reminder, per KO exists. With per KO, you can do much sillier things like Nanin using baseball jokers. So having another legendary who can break the game in a different way isn't that bad of an idea, I feel like. It would be really fun if instead of patching this bug it was reworked to be an actual feature. Because currently Shiko exists as this joker people are disappointed to get when they see the soul card. He's not bad, but his ability is so boring most players can't be bothered to use it. I'm far from the first person to suggest this, but I think reworking Shiko to make him reverse the effects of boss blinds rather than just disabling them is genuinely a great idea. It would give players more reasons to reroll for specific bosses, visit the water, get an extra discard, enter the manacle, and leave with one more hand size. It wouldn't even be that overpowered in the normal game, since at absolute best, you're getting like one extra hand, maybe a discard at the cost of a joker slot, a legendary one at that. Worst case scenario with this change, you only encounter bosses who can't be reversed, and then it's just like normal Shiko. So, in conclusion, I would love for Shiko to actually work the way he does here with the bug. And that's the end of the video. I'm going to go eat some turkey dinner now.